What's happening, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Behind the Visual, where I interview all those people responsible for creating the images and videos you see out in your world every single day. I am, of course, still your host, advertising and lifestyle photographer, Mark Hansen. And today, my guest is John Lehr. And John is the original Geico Caveman. He is an actor, a comedian, a writer, a producer. He is a funny guy, a great guy. You may have seen him, obviously, as the Geico Caveman. If you've seen the show Jailbait, he did a great job, funny show in that. If you haven't seen QuickDraw on HULU, got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. You need to go check that out. Very cool. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about how he got into this whole world of entertainment. We talk about where he went to school. We talk about him getting sober as part of it. We talk about a independent movie that he's just been in that hasn't come out yet. That'll be come out in the year, called Coronavirus Conspiracy. We talk about what it's like to pitch a movie or a TV show. He tells us a little story about an exec who had something really major happen during a pitch, and she didn't stop it. And you really need to listen to that, because you're not going to believe she didn't stop the pitch, and tell him to come back another time. We also talk about how he met Aerosmith backstage at the MTV Awards and how that all went down, which is a very interesting and kind of cool story. But yeah, all kinds of cool things going on with John. So you guys check it out. I think you're really going to enjoy this one, and let me know what you think. Like it, subscribe, comment, thumbs up it, all that kind of stuff. And look forward to hearing what you think about it. Hey, what's that picture you got over there? The black and white frame.
This one over here?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's out of frame now. There, that one.
That one? That is my old friend.
That's a cool shot.
That's my friend, John McCrae, who does not play the guitar. And my other friend from high school is a graphic artist, so he had to do a album cover for an assignment for college. So he took some fake pictures of my friend, and he's one of the funniest people I know. He was the historical consultant on QuickDraw, the HULU show I did.
Oh yeah.
Because he's got his PhD in archaeology.
Oh wow.
So he knows in southwestern studies, Native American studies. So he was like my go-to for 1800s history. So a lot of the stuff in QuickDraw that was actually based on, real stuff that happened most of it came from him.
Oh, well, I found something to do with that degree. So I was like, what do you do with that?
Yeah. He teaches, and he works for the VA now, weirdly. But he's a really bright guy and funny as shit and understands comedy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, comedian. I used to work at a comedy store place here in Charlotte when I was in college, and we had tons of comedians coming through from like total national, like Carrot Top started there. And I had all the big national comedians come in, then all the little local comedians come in. And you guys are a little mental, man. I don't think you become a comedian if you've had a like incredibly wonderful, Leave It to Beaver kind of life.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of depression, a lot of it's a really stupid way to make a living if you think about it. I mean, everybody's judging you, and a lot of pressure to deliver, and nobody's in charge. I mean, it's all, self-motivated, and there's drugs and alcohol abuse and mental health issues. It's a terrible, and you're on the road. I mean, I avoided a lot. I do a lot of live stuff, but I just come in and do it and then leave. I don't go on I've done like mini tours where they'll book me for like 4 or 5 shows in a row, but No, not like comedy clubs, not like that stuff. I do like charities and
Okay.
theaters and stuff like that, where it's the comedy clubs are brutal. I occasionally go up on in a club out here in Burbank, just to, try stuff and, try to stay sane.
Yeah, I was
I'm
going to
doing,
say,
I
how do
got
you, because I was listening to like Joe Rogan forever ago, and he had somebody on, there were some other comedian on, they were talking about how they go to, um, like they'll just show up at a club at like 11 o'clock at night and go on and try
yeah,
out new material. And they just try it over and over
right,
until they hone it and get the laughs they're looking for, I guess. Do you do
right.
something
Yeah.
similar to that when you do it?
Similar. I mean, I do most of my stuff is improvised, so I
Okay.
improvise a lot. So I'm not the type that hones it down to like a Seinfeldian kind of thing. I'm
Right.
more of a he would shoot a sniper, I shoot a shotgun,
Okay.
you know.
Do you,
So
so
yeah.
yours, okay, so full disclosure on this thing, my wife sent me your info because whoever it was that I emailed had sent her, she runs a outpatient rehab center for drug and alcohol
Oh
abuse.
wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
her marketing person sent it to her, and she's like, you might be interested in, send it to me. And I read about you a little bit. I was like, this dude sounds like it'd be very cool to talk to. So that's how I got in touch with you. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, because a lot of the live stuff I do is recovery, in the recovery world lately. That's where it's
right.
been lately. Um, yeah, I was asked to do a charity. I've been sober for 25 years, and
That's
I'm really
impressive.
involved, and I'm on the board of a not for profit and stuff. And I've lived in that world. I've always supported it, and my comedy is always, I always talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was asked to do a charity event in Atlanta for the Karen organization, which is a
Yeah.
not-for-profit recovery group.
Yeah.
And it was a blast because I got to do comedy, but I got to fold in more, just more purposeful stuff too,
Right.
and there's nothing better than performing to sober people, ex addicts and alcoholics, because they're just like dark as fuck.
Yeah.
They're great. They're just great. So anyway, yeah. So I've been doing some of that. So, they'll bring me in and I've done MC stuff. So that's gotten more and more and more. I love it. I really love it. So I'll do like an hour,
Right.
or do an entire evening where I'll MC and drop like 5 or 10 minutes in between stuff. So that's great. Yeah, I'm going to Austin and Chicago, Tampa. Tampa just postponed
Oh, yeah.
because Florida is a shit show.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's fucked. Yeah.
Which I'm vaxxed. I'm like
Yeah, me
fine,
too.
but nobody's buying tickets
Oh,
because they're
yeah.
afraid of each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame them in Florida. I would be
Yeah,
too.
me neither. My wife was pleased I wasn't going, but yeah, Chicago, and then I'm going back to Atlanta and a few others. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool, man.
yeah. I love it. I love it because I get to perform. I get paid. I don't have to go to a comedy club. And it's yeah, it's like comedy, but it's got like a message. There's a definite
Yeah.
message.
Well, I think
So
it's a
I love
cooler
it.
way to deliver it because like they had a guy come in for some event they have like every year, and he came in and gave so I guess he comes in, usually what happens is the speaker will come in like the night before and do a thing in a school or something, and then they have a lunch or a breakfast in the next day, like a fundraiser, and they'll come and
Yes.
kind of do a smaller version of it. But it's all, it's everybody just talking the whole time and telling their story, and it's like whatever, I was shooting up. I woke up. I was like, damn, I need to hit again. I was like, where's my rig? And I looked down, it's in my arm. I'm like, oh, well, shit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but I would think delivering as a comedian and having a little comedy edge to it would make it more interesting. Although I'm
Yeah.
sure anybody who's not, who hadn't heard a lot of it's just going, holy hell.
Right. Yeah. It's a little, Yeah, because a lot of the sobriety speakers are really heavy. It's really heavy, and it's with the opiate thing, it's like people are dying. I mean, there's a lot of heavy. So to have somebody come in who's light but still acknowledging the heaviness, it helps. It helps a lot.
Oh yeah, I would think.
Sure.
You and Danny Trejo ever hang out any?
What's that?
I said, you and Danny Trejo ever hang out? I'll listen to his book.
I've never met him. I tried to hire him for QuickDraw when I was producing and writing QuickDraw. I wrote a part, but we couldn't get him. I can't remember why, but I tried to get him. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his donuts. I love his donuts.
You haven't had any of his donuts or tacos, but I'm listening to his to his book right now, and it's all about basically him in recovery. Like, the first couple of chapters are, but now it's gotten into the recovery part and all that.
Yeah,
so it's interesting as hell.
He's an amazing guy, good actor. Great character actor. I haven't had his tacos, but I've had his donuts, and they're good.
Well, I'm going to have his donuts when I'm out there next month.
Yeah,
stop and get a donut.
You definitely should. It's right down on La Brea. It's like right in West Hollywood. It's great. I don't know how well you know LA.
But yeah, no, pretty well. My brother lived out there for a little while too, as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's an architect, and they moved him out from Charlotte to LA to work on Lucky brands. He's commercial real estate, so he was there with Lucky working on all their buildings and their stores and all that kind of stuff.
Ooh,
but
awesome.
he couldn't take it. He was in LA for 2 years, just under 2 years, but he was living in an apartment and being an architect. Literally every day, every weekend when he's in Charlotte, he is destroying something or building something at his house. So he's like, I can't do anything. I can't knock a wall out in my apartment. So I'm just bored on weekends. So he probably has to go back.
LA is a tough city to interface with. It takes about 2 years, in my opinion, and you really have to embrace the nature. If you don't go to the beach and the desert and the mountains on a regular basis, then LA will just eat you up. But if you do those things, then you realize, oh, I get it. Okay, now I get the city. Yeah, it's all crappy strip malls, but you got you can go surfing and skiing on the same day.
Everybody I know who lives out there who loves it, that's all they do. They go to the beach or to the desert or up into the mountains or something like that. So those,
you got to do that, because then you embrace the urban side of it, and then it's really cool.
Where did you grow up?
Kansas.
Oh,
I'm from Kansas. I'm from Overland Park, which is outside of Kansas City. It's a suburb. My extended family's all from a little town outside of Wichita called El Dorado. Not El Dorado.
Right. That's right. I was in Miami, Oklahoma. And when I saw it on my sheet from my client, I thought, well, hell yeah, we're going to shoot in Miami. And then I looked a little harder and I was like, where's Miami, Oklahoma? And you get there, it's Miami. I'm like,
Miami.
It's spelled Miami, but okay.
No.
Not even close to being the same place.
Where is Miami? Is it near Oklahoma City? Like, what part of the state is it in?
I have no idea. I was with the client and I just flew in. I don't even know where I flew into, because we flew in, it was like 2 different states, and we flew into one and then drove to the other and shot some in one, then went and drove like 2 hours and then shot in the other. And I don't remember which one we went to first, it was a blur. Yeah. All over the place.
I can relate.
How did you so if you grew up in Kansas City-ish, how did you end up, how'd you end up in LA?
Okay, so I went to college at Northwestern, which is outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I went there to be a teacher, and I got a teaching certificate, but my mom, I'd always been into theater and stuff, but growing up in Kansas, you don't really think of that as a career. And so my mom convinced me, why don't you audition for the theater department? And this was on the drive up. And I was like, okay. And I memorized a Shakespearean monologue and did it and got into the theater department.
Oh, wow.
So so I double majored, and but what really did it was there was an improv show, a student produced improv show that was kind of infamous at Northwestern, and I auditioned for that, and that changed when I found out I could say whatever I wanted, I was just like, what? And yeah, that changed everything for me. That just was like it. I was just like, this is amazing. And then I stayed in Chicago for about 4 years doing improv, a lot of bar gigs and stuff. And then kind of formed a company that wanted to be more. This was a long time ago when improv was just sort of games and stuff.
Right.
I've joined a company that wanted to do more, scenes, and ended up doing this super fast 2-man improv show at the Organic Theater, and kind of famous theater in Chicago, and David Mamet's theater. And this talent scout came to the show from LA, from Fox, this gorgeous ex-model, Eve Zerly. And she goes, hey, do you guys want to come and we'll fly you to LA and you can do it for my bosses, do a showcase for my bosses. And do you guys want to do that? That's and we cool. Were like, yeah. We were totally broke. And because you don't make any money doing improv in Chicago or theater in Chicago. And so we did it, and every executive in LA showed up to that, and we ended up signing with a huge agency, ICM, and a huge manager, and we got a holding deal with NBC. And a holding deal, they don't really do them anymore, but a holding deal at that time was, hey, we'll give you money if you don't do anything with any of our competitors until we figure out what to do with you.
That's cool.
It was like
that's
free
very
money.
Cool.
So we were like, yeah, I'll do that. And but I was already, the drug and alcohol abuse was kind of peaking at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So I just blew it all, up my nose. But still I was able to kind of function during that. And I kind of realized I could write, and I did some shows. I did Friends, and I did, scattered, character roles on TV, and did some movies. And then I got sober and did a show called Jessie.
Yeah.
Not the one on Nickelodeon, but on NBC.
What the hell is this? Yeah. What's his name?
On Jessie. On
Jessie, yeah. Just
George Zunza was on it. David DeLuise, me,
okay.
Christina Applegate was the star, and who was her love interest? I'm blanking. Anyway,
I remember that show. Yeah,
it was decent. I mean, it was okay. She was great. The rest of us did our best, but it gave me health insurance, and it paid off all my bills, got me out of debt. And I had just gotten sober because I'd been arrested just previous to that on possession in Ventura County.
Oops.
And so that kind of came together at the same time and sort of changed my life.
Did you go to rehab to get sober, or did you do that on your own?
No, I just did it. I did it on my own. I don't know how, I don't know why it worked. I was scared. I was looking at some serious jail time. This wasn't my first,
right.
And I was caught with a lot of drugs, and so I was looking at jail time, and it was my agent, not my agent, my lawyer, my entertainment lawyer. He recommended that I get into AA because he's like, look, John, you got to sober up before you face the judge, or you're going to jail for a while.
Oh, wow.
And he helped me get my defense attorney and everything. And the defense attorney said the same thing. So I went to AA, and I didn't do anything. Right. I just went because I was scared I was going to go to jail, but somehow it stuck, and 25 years later, I'm, haven't had a drink.
That's impressive.
I know I listen, I can't take credit for it. I really can't. I mean, because I know people who, did the same as me and didn't stay sober. And why does it work for some people and doesn't work for others? I know how to, once I got sober, I now know what to tell somebody that will help it stick. You can do this and this and this, and this will help.
Right.
But why I quit at that moment, I mean, why it worked, I don't know. I had plenty of sufficiently strong reasons to quit prior to that belief. And but it did. And I mean, spending the night in jail, I was on LSD when I was arrested. So spending the night in jail on LSD was a bit of a rough night, but still, I don't know why it worked, but it did. And so now I'm very involved in recovery. And once I got sober, things started to, take off. And I was able to kind of start, the writing really became a thing. I sold a script to NBC that David Schwimmer's company from Friends bought. Cool. And then I sold a pilot that I starred in that was improv based. I kept wanting to use improv. And I sold a pilot to Fox that didn't go, but I started to figure it out a little bit. And then I met Nancy Hauer, who is a director, and she and I worked on a film called Memron, this little independent film. It's still out there. I think it's on Netflix. It's on my website.
And what's it called?
Memron, which made fun of the Enron.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it won the Slam Dance Film Festival. We shot it for like $5,000, and it won the Slam Dance Film Festival. And that kind of gave us enough juice to pitch what later became 10 Items or Less. We pitched it to Sony, and then we sold that to TBS, and that ran for 3 seasons. And I show ran that and wrote it and starred in it with Nancy. And she directed and wrote, and that kind of, I was like, this is amazing. And so we ended up doing, after it got canceled, we did multiple pilots that didn't go for Comedy Central and NBC and other places. And then we did a show called Jailbait for Sony, because they had this Crackle. Do you know what Crackle is? It's like it's Sony's online presence.
Oh, no.
We did it for them. And then in the meantime, 10 Items or Less had like this cult following. It still does. And they were running reruns on HULU. And HULU called and said, hey, your old show's doing great on HULU. Do you want to do something new with us? And we came in and pitched them this comedy Western called QuickDraw. And it was great. It was great. And I keep same thing, keep writing, and I'm pitching a couple of shows right now, and I do some acting. I just did a movie and live performance stuff like we talked about.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. I want to know, why are there so many producers on a film or a TV show? Because you will see like 15 producers listed. All I'm thinking was, why?
Money and ego.
Do they do anything?
Say, not most of them don't. Most of them did something that helped get it. So like, a guy will say, hey, I can bring in the financing. I know the rich people. I'll introduce you guys. You can pitch the movie to them, but I want an EP credit and a piece of the action if it goes. Or you need to attach an actor to a project, and you'll say, hey, we'll pay your rate, you'll be the star of the thing, and we'll give you an EP credit if you attach yourself to it. So stuff like that. And then there's managers who represent talent, who say, hey, I won't charge you a commission, John, on this if you make me an EP on the show. And be like, okay. Right. That's called packaging deals. I don't know if you've ever heard about packaging. So stuff like that. And then there are always one or two who actually
do something, produce it.
you'll see on QuickDraw, Nancy and I were the showrunners, but there are two other people, Charlotte and Brendan, who get executive producer credits on that, and that's because they were the HULU executives who championed the show. So they wanted an EP because they helped develop the show. So they wanted an EP credit on, which we were fine with.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's some of them I'll watch, like especially movies, you'll see producer, executive producer,
Yes.
and then you just go, how does anybody make any money if you got to pay all these producers plus a crew list that runs for 10 minutes after the show, after the movie ends?
Well, usually the executive producers who don't do anything, there's a pool of money for that, and then they have to split it all up.
Okay.
And then the executive producers who actually run the show, I'm talking television, but actually do the work, they get a rate that these guys don't get any piece of.
Right.
So they get more.
All right.
Usually.
Does it work something similar in movies, or is there like a percentage? Just the EP who does something, they get a percentage of the bank from the movie?
Each movie is its own startup.
Okay.
So each movie is done differently. But generally speaking, yeah, it's the same thing. The people who actually executive produce the movie make the most money. And those that are just getting these credits to make them feel good and to, name out there, they make less.
Okay. I see that. If I was listed as an EP on a movie, if I didn't do hardly shit, I'd be like, look, there's me. That's my name. As it's going up. I'm a producer.
And it means something. So usually it means people have given money on a movie.
Okay.
If it's an independent movie and it's got a lot of EPs, that means they gave money, which, hey, man, I'll give you a credit every day. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
And a percentage of in which you'll never see because movies.
But hey, if all you got to do is give them a credit for them to give you the cash, why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Did you? Okay. So when did you become the Geico Caveman? How did that happen?
I was, that was in the 90s. It started, I want to say like 96, maybe 97 in there. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but I went to an audition, a commercial audition. So I have a commercial agent who has me. I don't do as much of this anymore, but commercial auditions, they're not like regular auditions. You usually you don't even know what you're auditioning for most of the time. You show up at these places. Usually it's a big lobby with doors all around the perimeter, and each door is an audition for a different commercial. So it's like a cattle kind of thing. So you go up and there's a big board that tells you all the commercials. In door one, there's this, door two, and you find the one that you've been, that your agent got you in for. And then you go and you sign up. And then usually that's when you see the script for the first time.
Really?
Maybe you get it the night before, but you go in and you do your best, and you just do a bunch of them and hope to get one or two a year. And so I went in, it was Geico, and it said Caveman. I was like, Caveman, all right. And then they said, when I came in, they said, John, you can improvise. And I was like, what? And so I improvised as this metrosexual, caveman, and got the gig, and then I ended up shooting 25 national spots, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
And then all of these other ancillary things, appearances. I went to the Oscars, it was crazy. It was crazy.
That's cool.
And it keeps going. I just did, it's a Fox show called I Can See Your Voice.
Yes. I haven't seen it, but I saw the promo for it.
So the Caveman will be appearing on an episode of I Can See Your Voice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So I love it. I love doing it because most of the time I get to improvise, which I love. And the makeup's kind of a drag. It takes like 3 hours.
How long does that take? Did you say 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's annoying. Like, it turns out humans don't like to have stuff glued to their face,
Surprise.
Like it, And it gets a little, because it's usually like a 14-hour day. That's like a normal shoot day.
Yeah.
So after around 8 hours, you're like, okay, I'm ready to have this taken off. So it's a bit of you got to kind of zen out and deal with it. But it's better than a real job.
Well, yeah. I heard they had to. Ron Howard had to put Jim Carrey. Did you hear that story?
Yes, there's a lot of stories like that. People who just freak out and can't handle the prosthetics because it is supposedly I'm really good at it. Like the makeup guys are like, John, you can handle it really well, because people freak out a lot. It can feel claustrophobic weirdly. Yeah. And it's glue. There's a lot of glue in the hair, and it's just I can't really, it's just kind of like a water torture, kind of thing. It just starts to get at you and you just want it off. And yeah, Jim Carrey totally freaked out, couldn't do it.
Yeah, I heard they had to have basically the guy come in from the CIA or FBI and walk him through like what you got to do when you're being tortured to get them to make it through the whole movie.
Right, because it's a little like that. It's just uncomfortable, and over time you're just like, and if you can't keep your cool, you just want to rip it off, you just want it off. I guess David Chiklis, I think, also for the Fantastic Four. There's lots of stories of people who of just can't do it. Some people can't do it at all. Like they have to do a thing where they pour goo all over your head.
Yeah,
and you breathe to make the cast. And there are tons of people who just they can't do it.
I could see that, especially if you're even slightly claustrophobic and you have to breathe out of like 2 straws in your nose.
And it's like drying on you. It's warm, and then they have to do, the weirder thing is when they do it for the teeth, they have to pour this goo into your mouth, and it like drips down your throat. And that was the weirder one for me. The straw one, I was just, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with that, but I kind of went to sleep, but
damn, man.
Yeah, the stuff down the mouth, that was hard.
I feel like you were choking on it.
Yeah, it's just like you just want it out. It's not right.
I don't even like when they do the mold for when you're at the dentist and they just slap that thing in there to do the mold for your teeth. Yes, I don't like that. Right. So
yeah, it's a little like being at the dentist all day. That's a little what it's like, when you're at the dentist and you're just like, okay, enough. Just I want to go home. It's like that, but maybe times, and it's all day long, sometimes for days in a row. So that gives us a sense of it's a trip. Yeah. It's a mind game for sure, but it's worth it. You're getting paid incredible money. I mean,
it's better than sitting in front of a desk at a desk with a suit and tie on in front of a computer looking at numbers all day long.
Yeah. Well, I've had tons of jobs that were a hell of a lot harder than that. Yeah. In restaurants, if you ever worked in a restaurant, I was a cook in a restaurant in Chicago for years. That's real work,
I never did that. My brother was a cook at a restaurant for a little while. I always was like, I don't know. I worked at camera shops and drugstores. That was pretty much. And then I worked at some job where I had to deliver building supplies on the lot to where they were building a whole new housing community. And that job was just boring.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. That's
it was cool. Gig. I mean, it was a summer job. But it was so boring that about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I would literally work. I'd be there for 8 hours. I'd probably work for about 3 of it. Another 5, I'm trying to figure out how to look busy. And so I don't get fired, because there was nothing for me to do. So I would try and look busy. And my girlfriend's mom owned a video store, and she was like, you can come work for us. I was like, I'm out. I'm going to go do that. I'm just going to sit on my ass and watch videos all day. At least I'll do that instead of some hot ass car.
Yeah, that's true. Restaurants, you don't have any downtime, so it goes pretty fast.
Yeah, my wife was a waitress. My brother was a cook, and he was talking about they would get really busy, and somebody had ordered something and had like a bagel with it or whatever, and the bagel hit the ground. Some dude kicked it across the floor, picked it up, wiped it off, slapped it up on the plate, and sent it out.
Oh yeah, that's nothing. I've seen a lot worse than that. Let's put it this way. Don't send your food back. Don't yell at your waitress, because if she comes back to the kitchen crying, the cooks don't like that.
Oh.
And my wife's grandfather was always a total dick to waiters and cooks and stuff at restaurants. And I was like, your grandfather is going to eat more spit than anybody I know. Why would you upset the people who are preparing your meal? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't now where I'm aware that my dad owned some restaurants for when I was younger. So I'm very aware. So if I do send something back, I'm like, hey, this is like undercooked. Can we just send it back? I'm as nice as I can possibly be because I don't want her going back there going, hey, this asshole said that, you
this
whatever.
Guy's and then the cook could go, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because I've heard stories, but yeah. Mm-mm.
I've seen stuff that's just, I'm always the nicest guy. Never, ever do I ever complain. And I always tip well because they will remember.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And yeah, for sure. Yeah. My wife, like I said, my wife she waited tables for a while and she would have guys who were just assholes, and she's I think she's still hot, but she's definitely hot then. And they were, like, hey, come here, sit over here, take her, like, I have to put up with this shit.
Oh, that's horrible.
So what was your first job? So once you did Chicago, you came and you did your thing and they put you under the whole don't work for anybody else deal. What was the first thing you did that you actually were on the air for and got paid for?
Well, I did a show in Chicago. What was the name of that show? It was a drama. It was the God, who was the woman that was married to Mike Tyson?
Oh, yeah. Damn, I'm totally blanking on her name.
Robin Givens.
Yes, thank you.
Was on. So that was the first thing I did. And then I worked on Major League. Remember the movie Major League?
Yeah.
I worked on that movie. And then, but my first show in LA, I think, was Lois and Clark, which was Superman, and which was hilarious. I played a yoga instructor, and I think I only had one scene, maybe two. And one of them was I was doing like this. I was leading a yoga class, and Superman comes in and turns off my boombox, and then we have a scene, and then they leave, and that's the end of the scene. I can't remember what happens. And the guy playing Superman said, hey, when I leave, you press the button again to turn the boombox back on. And the director hadn't told me that. And so I'm looking for the director to go, okay, let me ask. And Superman goes, no, don't ask the director, just do it. And I was like, okay, Superman, I'm going to do it. So
well, that's cool, because that's what I was thinking when you were telling the story. You said he came in and shut it off, and you said he left. I was waiting for you to go, and then I just hit the button and turned it back on. And
right. Yeah. So he was right. He was right. But I was just afraid to do it because I was afraid, I'd get in trouble if the director didn't tell me. And then I did it. Then I wrote and starred on a show for E! Network, the Kardashian Network. This is before the Kardashians. That was called News Weasels.
I remember that show.
Oh my God. And we made fun of the news.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but it was like, it was terrible. I mean, we didn't, we were supposed to be making fun of the news, and E! Bought the rights to the news, but they screwed up. So the news feed, they owned the rights to the news feed, but somehow they screwed up and we couldn't use any of it. So this was during the OJ thing, the OJ trial.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about that, the only footage we had access to was this public domain footage that they got for cheap from Australia. So we're talking about like beer drinking contests in Australia while everybody's talking about. So it was tough. It was tough going.
How do they have the rights to it, but then they can't use it?
They bought the rights to the network feed, but they didn't realize that in order to use the pieces, they had to have the sign off from the local affiliates. And the affiliates wanted more money, and they didn't have. I don't know. That's what I heard. Anyway, it was a big screw up. Somebody got fired for it.
I bet somebody got fired.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
Oh, damn. Hey, so you did.
That ran for I want to say 2 seasons. I think it went 2 seasons, maybe just 1, and it got canceled. But I learned a ton because I was on camera the whole time. So I learned a ton about hitting marks and, you know, the technical side of acting for camera.
Do you like acting?
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's fun. I mean, it's always fun. I prefer to do like the improv style that I do. That is exciting as hell for me because then that's my passion. But straight acting's fun too. I just did a feature that's just coming out. They're just about to. It's a independent movie, but it's about the coronavirus, but it's a comedy, and it's just 2 people. It's just me and another guy the entire feature.
Oh, wow.
So that really challenging and fun. That was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It's coming out soon. And
what's that called?
Just Coronavirus Conspiracy.
Okay. And
I play a guy who was sent out by his wife to go get toilet paper. Yeah, this is during the early days of the coronavirus when none of us had toilet paper. And I went out to go get toilet paper, and I just suddenly wake up out of a blackout, and I'm chained to the wall in my own bedroom. And it gets weirder from there. It's a trippy movie, but it's funny.
Cool. I'll have to try to look it up in a little while and see if maybe I can find it someplace.
It will be released probably, I would say, in the winter, I think, maybe the fall. Streamer stuff. Yeah.
That's the rough part. Is like seeing these trailers now for something that's not being released till end of the year or something. It's like they just released the Matrix trailer and it looks very cool. You're like, well, shit, you gotta wait till like end of December. Yeah.
Woo! I can't wait for that.
Did you see the trailer?
Awesome. No, I'm gonna go Google it after this.
Yeah, the trailer is a trip, man. Yeah, it's
awesome.
The thing is, I forgot there were multiple. I only saw the first one, so I forgot that there were multiple Matrix movies.
Oh yeah, they're all great. I ate it up. That's like right up my alley, man. I love that sci-fi crazy action stuff. I love Keanu.
Yeah,
that's bring it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch them because I completely forgot about the other ones. I'm like, well, shit, I gotta go watch those, and then I'll watch this newest one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So you worked with Heidi Klum. Tell me about that.
I did. It was a show for CBS, a special, and the 2 of us hosted it. Me as the former guy. It was about commercials. It was one of those shows where they do the best commercials.
Right,
So they had me as having played the Geico. I didn't have the makeup on, but they had me and Heidi, and we shot it all in Vegas. And man, was that a pleasure being next to supermodel for 3 days or whatever it took to shoot it. She's super sweet, gorgeous, and the gig was really easy and it was fun.
That's good to hear.
Yep. Turns out really gorgeous people on TV and film are really gorgeous in person too, for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes weird looking, like sometimes they have these, sometimes they're, they photograph really incredibly, but in person they're kind of like, I don't know, like their heads are big and their features are just, but not Heidi. She's just gorgeous in general.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that in person, I look at them and go, I don't know. And then I shoot them and go, wow, I cannot believe that is this. And then there are other times where I'll see them in person and think they're absolutely gorgeous. And I take their picture and I'm like, how the hell does that not translate?
What is that? It's so interesting. But it's weird when the camera loves you. But she's got it both ways, in person and on film.
Well,
she's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I saw her kid on something recently. Her kid's pretty too.
Her daughter.
Yeah, her daughter.
She's Yeah, I've never met her, but yeah, Heidi was amazing. She bought us all sushi dinner after and
That's
dropped a
cool.
fortune on us. And yeah, super cool. Super cool.
Very nice. All right. So if you had to choose between the improv comedy gigs, the acting, producing, writing, what's your favorite?
Woo.
Because you do about
I
everything. Do you direct or do you leave that to Howard?
no, I directed a short film early in my career, and you know, I want to perform, and so but I'm not dumb enough to think I can direct myself.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, I haven't done it. I've been asked to direct a few times because people think I would do a good job. I haven't done it. I don't know why. I don't know why.
There's a
But
lot more to it than I thought because I did like a short little film for me and I directed it. And I was like, it didn't come out that great. And I'm trying to go back and re-edit it. So maybe it's a little better. But then I got that one of those masterclass things with Ron Howard teaching
yeah,
directing.
yeah.
Holy shit. I was just like, yeah, I'm an idiot. I know absolutely that was just way out of my league. I know absolutely nothing about directing because he was just sitting there going with this and this. And I was just going, wow, okay, there's a lot more to it than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, but the only way to learn is to do and to take classes, but you got to do it too. So yeah, there's so much technical to it, that is just like, wow. I mean, for somebody like you, it'd probably be that part's fun, but for me, it's kind of my eyes glaze over a little bit.
Right.
I'm more, but yeah. So I don't know if I had to choose, I would choose to do what I did for QuickDraw and 10 items and some of the other that stuff where I produce and write and star. That to me is like, it's
I didn't
really
ask you if
hard.
you could do all three, man. I said you gotta pick one.
I know, you gotta pick one. If I had to pick one, it would be to just improv act,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
That would be it. Because that's easy for me. It's and fun. I just do it. But writing is hard work, and producing is really hard work.
What's it like when you see something like that on screen for the first time that you wrote it, you produced it, you were in it, you starred in it? What's that feeling like when it gets up and it's actually not just in a screening room and you're seeing it on national television where millions of people can watch it? What's the first time that happened? How did you feel?
Weird,
Yeah.
Worried.
Mm-hmm.
Are people liking it? Because for me, the fun part is making it.
Right.
I don't have that. Thank God, I don't have that. I hate myself too much to enjoy it.
Right. That's good.
I just I look at it and I'm thinking about story. I'm not thinking about how people are going to perceive me, really. I'm more
Right.
thinking about how are people going to enjoy it. That's the thing. And am I going to be able to make more? Is it going to get good enough ratings so that I get to make more? So by that time, the fun is over. Then it's out of my hands and it's just worry time, and to be honest, I don't even really watch it once it's aired because I've seen it so many times
Mhm.
in the edit room that once it's done, I'm done. I'm on to
Yeah.
the next. So and so the only time I really see it after it's done is for like it's usually some sort of a thing to promote it, like a screening or
Right.
something like that. And then that's not really fun because it's you're schmoozing, which is
Yeah.
hard. I mean, it's fun, but
No, I get you.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah.
And
Because for
also,
me,
I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, being like, do they like it? Do they like it? Do they?
yeah.
It's worry. It's yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Because I think a lot of stuff, especially if I'm doing something for myself, I'd almost be totally cool with shooting it, editing it, and then being like, all right, I'm good. I like these are the ones I like. I'll throw them up, and then I don't want to hear anybody's opinion on it after that, because these are the ones I
Yeah.
like. I know it's good. And then if I had to be like you and worry about, what they're going to think, and I do, I guess when I'm shooting for clients, I shoot it and I send it to them. Like, all right, are they going to like it? They're going to not like it? No matter how long I've been doing it, no matter how easy it is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's not the fun. The fun part is when you're shooting it, and you're making it. That's the fun part. Yeah.
So do you have a lot going on right now, like in the pipeline? Do you have stuff you're working
Yeah,
on?
I do, weirdly, only because, the pandemic is everything stopped, and I used that time to write and create because there was nothing else to do. And so now I have 4 projects that I'm pitching, which is a lot. And they're different types of things. On one of them, one I'm a writer, a couple I'm a producer, and one I'm writing, producing, and acting in. And so they're different things. But yeah, LA is just kind of realizing that they need to buy more stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
To do.
How long does it take you to do something like to write, say, a pilot? How long does it take you once that idea is in your head? How long is it, like, on average, does it take you to write a pilot?
It depends, but mainly it takes about a year for me to have an idea and then take it all the way to the point where I'm ready to pitch it to network. Then it takes another year for them to buy it, me to, produce it, make a pilot, and for them to pick up a show. So it's a 2-year process before you really get to actually make TV shows.
Right.
So it takes a long ass time.
Yeah. I've heard of movies taking like 10 years or something. Like, oh yeah, I read the script 10 years. Here's somebody go, well, we read the script 10 years ago. And like, holy shit. That's forever.
It's because it's so much money. I mean, even my shows, which are, fairly low budget, a season is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, you got to convince, it takes a while to get the presentation and the idea and the actors attached and the agents on board. And, you shoot something maybe, and you have a presentation and you rehearse the pitch, and then you go in. You're basically trying to convince them to give you millions of dollars.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, the closest thing I know to that is what I saw in Seinfeld, where they were pitching his show, and they go in there and they go, "What's it about?" He goes, "Nothing. It's about nothing."
Right. Right.
Seinfeld looks at George like, "Shut up."
Yeah, and Seinfeld, I mean, barely made it on the air. They pitched it. The regular half-hour people didn't like it. They ended up doing it through a deal that he had with the specials department at NBC. Oh, wow. So it was just going to be a series of specials, and they only bought 4 episodes at first, and then they tested the pilot. It tested terribly.
Really?
They still aired it. The ratings at first weren't that great, but somehow NBC stuck with it. And then the second season, it started to do kind of okay. And then it hit, towards the end of the second season, I think, was when it first started to kind of, it started to hit their radar. So yeah, that show it never made it many times.
That's what I don't understand about a lot of these TV shows. You'll see something that'll come on and it'll literally run like 3-4 episodes and then it disappears. And all I'm thinking is, okay, I was kind of interested in watching that. I hadn't gotten to it yet, but I guess now I'll never see it.
They got the numbers, and they can tell by the numbers. They can tell how good the show is going to do. So based on getting this number now, we can project forward and know it's only going to do this well. And we need it to do better than that. So we're not going to spend millions of dollars. We're going to cancel it. Oh, but that's business people doing the job, not. So the best executives were the people who have the guts to kind of stay with stuff, but if it doesn't go, then they're screwed, So Yeah, there aren't as many gamblers out there as executives. They're not as many executives that Jamie Tarsis was an amazing executive. She really she just had guts. She had guts, and a lot of
Where was
executives
she?
don't have.
Yeah,
She was first at ABC and then at NBC. She's who I signed my first deal with, so I knew her a long time. She passed away last year, and she was amazing. Brandon Tartikoff was another. I did a pilot with Brandon Tartikoff.
Really? That's a name I know.
Yeah, he was amazing. I mean, he was hilarious. He and Jamie, they were just good with writers, you know. They just knew how to talk to writers. And Brandon would, like, while we were shooting, he would write little notes, little jokes on notes, and fold them up and slip them to me. And I would read the joke, and sometimes they were really funny, and sometimes they were terrible. And I'd be like, Brandon, I don't think we should go. I'd be like, okay, I'm just throwing stuff out there. He didn't have any ego in it. He just having fun, trying to make it better. He was great. Sing with me. Yeah, there are a few executives out there where you're like, whoa. But mostly, especially lately, because of all the different streamers and everything, it's more businessy than ever in a weird way.
Yeah. Everybody's worried about losing their jobs. Somebody's going to replace them immediately. Yeah. Well, I get it. Yeah, it's not nearly as bad in my world, but yeah, we still have like art producers, creative directors, or whatever. You can tell on set that they are scared. I've had art directors who will literally look at what we shot and just go, and you go, what do you think? Okay, are we good with this? I mean, they're literally afraid to make a decision. So I have to go, I think we're really good on this one. And then I go, well, how else can we modify it? What else can we do? And then you'll do like 5-6 different things. And they go, okay, what else? And then I have to go, I think we got it. I don't think there's anything else we can do to this. We have killed it in every possible way. And then because they're so afraid that they're going to not get it right and lose their job.
I think that's the biggest job as a producer, is convincing the executives that it's good.
Yeah.
This is really, really funny. This is a great episode, I'm telling you. And for them, okay, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. That's funny.
Yeah.
You don't in the edit room. We're going to be all right.
All right, so we're coming up on about an hour. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to know what would be, since you started, what's the most interesting, strangest, coolest, what's your best story of something that's happened to you that you're like, I can't believe this thing happened
on set?
Or just in general, it was on the set or in a meeting, or like I have one where I was shooting down in Miami and my assistants got down there before me, and I meet them for dinner that night and they go, thanks for the welcoming present, dude. I'm like, what are you talking about? It goes, well, as soon as we got here, we got in a room, we got set, and all of a sudden our door burst open. There's this chick naked come bouncing through the door, like, hi guys. And then they said, and all of a sudden their boyfriend comes and grabs her and goes, sorry, she was just trashed. But they're like, thanks for sending that our way. And I was like,
hilarious. I love that. I guess the first thing that came to mind for me was I was pitching a movie. We were pitching a movie to an executive, and all of a sudden this blood started to come out of her nose, and I was like, and then more and more, and we were like, your nose, and she was like, oh yeah, and she's like, now blood is really gushing, and she's like holding her head back, and we're like, yeah, we'll wait until she goes, like, no, keep going. So we kept pitching to this woman as blood is just coming out of her nose, and that was weird. And they bought it.
Maybe they felt like they kind of had to, since they put you through the trauma of the exact with the nosebleed.
I don't know. She acted like it was just normal. It was weird. It was so bizarre. But that was pretty funny.
Okay, was she doing coke? Is that why she had her nosebleed?
Yeah, probably.
I actually
I
had a
don't know.
friend's girlfriend ask that about me. I'd had a deviated septum and had it operated on. And then we went to the beach, and my friend and his girlfriend came along, my girlfriend, and they went to the grocery store. And I'm standing outside, and my nose is bothering me. And I went, oh man. All of a sudden it starts bleeding. And she's like, so he tells me later, like an hour later that night, she's like, she wanted to know if you've been snorting Coke, and that's why you had the nosebleed. I was like, no, not. I haven't been doing Coke, just had a nosebleed. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that, and then I have crazy drug stories that are just, you know,
All right, well, give me one.
Okay, one of them was I was working on, it was a job, one of my first jobs in LA before I got anything else, where I was working as a driver. I was a handler for MTV, for the MTV Music Awards. And my job was to drive around this Brazilian rock band
Who's the band?
I don't know. I could find it. They had won, you know how at the MTV Music Awards, there were people who would win, you know, in South America, best band.
Yeah. So somebody you never heard of kind of thing over in the US.
So they won that. They were huge in Brazil. And so I took them around, took them shopping, buying stuff. And I was drinking and using at the time, but I didn't when I was driving because I didn't want to kill anybody. And so at the end, they knew that. They knew that I wasn't going to drink or use while I'm driving. And so at the very end, when it was that week, at the end of that week was the MTV Music Awards. And they told my boss that they wanted me to come as their guest. And so I didn't have to drive. They wanted me to ride in the limo with them because we all got along at this point. And my boss was pissed off, and she was like, okay. And so I went up to knock on the door of the lead singer for the thing, and he had a pink rock. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, this is real cocaine. This is cocaine from Brazil. And I was out of my mind by the time we got there. And I'm sitting in a chair at the awards, and they were backstage, and my boss comes up to me. She goes, John, are you doing anything right now? And I'm like, no. And I want you to grab this tape. This is when there was videotape, and stand over there. Somebody's going to come grab it from you. So I'm backstage, out of my mind, holding this videotape. And all of a sudden, Aerosmith, the whole band, comes backstage. And I just was like, oh my God. And I knelt down on one knee in front of Steven Tyler. And he came up and like tapped me on the shoulder, like, rise, it's okay. And it was just like, oh my God, it was the best experience. Yeah, it was so great.
That's incredible.
Awesome. Oh, it was awesome.
Damn. Yeah. Dude, I don't think you were alone. My cousin was he's the original cowboy from the Village People. And we were talking about award shows. And he was like, nobody there remembers getting their award. He said that everybody's so high and so fucked up that nobody remembers getting the award on the music awards.
Yep. I met Kurt Cobain at that thing too. And I was a Nirvana fan, but you know, it was still early on, and I didn't, you know, but seeing Aerosmith, I was just like, fuck.
Dude, that's very cool. Very cool. Holy shit. Did you hear about the kid who's suing Nirvana? Well, I guess he's not suing Nirvana, but he's suing
for his baby photo.
Yes. All right, dude. I think basically what he did was just telegraph to the entire world he has no money. Yeah, because I mean, come on, you doing that?
No money and an idiot, and now everybody knows who the baby is.
Yeah, because evidently he's got like Nevermind tattooed on his chest, and he's done all kinds of shit to kind of promote the fact that he was the baby. And then now he's kind of like, oh, I got screwed. I'm sure it was kind of like, shit, I'm in debt. I need, you know, whatever. I need cash. So let's try and sue somebody. But dude, to be backstage and have Aerosmith come by and ready to rise.
They were like gods. They walked in like gods. I saw some other people. I can't remember who else I saw. I was out of my gourd.
Were they sober at that time?
I can't remember. I don't know. Maybe. Is it possible? They didn't. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Might be. I can't remember when they said they got sober. I just remember saying like millions of dollars went up their nose. I remember that.
Yeah, Steven Tyler. Yeah, he's pretty open about his sobriety too, which is really cool.
Yeah, and dude, the fact that he impresses me not only because of that, but because of the fact that what is he, 70 something years old or whatever it is, and he still can sing at about that same level. Where I mean, you got like Motley Crue, Vince Neil's up there out of breath, and he's not singing shit. He is literally just speaking every line from the song. And I'm just like, why would I pay to go see that? But Aerosmith, I would pay to go see Aerosmith because Steven Tyler still sings it like he was singing it when he was younger.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. Walk this way.
Yeah.
He's.
Oh shit, John, this is cool, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. It was really fun. Anytime.